Hello, hello,
Hello.
hello. How we doing, everybody? Welcome to Ask the Experts. You know what it is. You know what we do. I know you guys are missing Hassani. He's still not back yet. Sorry. You're just going to have to deal with us until he returns. Please just continue to send your well wishes to him and the one and only Miss Danielle. And we are wishing them all the love, joy, and peace and rest that they
Yes.
can handle, right? And we're
Mhm.
looking forward to their return. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We are so excited that we already have questions in the feed. We have been asking for you to post your questions. Don't wait until the last 5 minutes before we're about to log off to give us questions. And so we asked and you delivered. Thank you so very much. So we are going to jump in to Miss Shalice's comments. I will read. I think I see about 3 different posts, so I'll read the entire thing, and then you guys can jump in whenever you're ready. I'm posting my question now because her son has a basketball game. Okay, go ahead. And I
Mhm.
may not be able to listen until later. What are some actions my husband can take to properly process his feelings of guilt, shame, and regret? He has put it away so that he can function, but that's not healthy. I don't know if I am the person who should help him because I am the face of his pain. Every time I broach the subject of finding healthy ways to release it, he says he can't relive what he did. So putting it away is his only option. Please help.
Mhm. Well, in all things, definitely a person has to have a will to really go through that process. You can't will it for him. You can't do the work for him. But it is good that he does have you as a partner who is concerned about him. So definitely continue to encourage him. Again, rely on your power source. If that's prayer, then pray. Definitely pray for him. But when it goes back to shame and guilt, those are some big topics to target because, like Dr. Brene Brown mentions that, for example, guilt is I did something wrong, but shame is I'm a bad person because I did something wrong. And really helping him uncover, is he dealing more with shame or is he dealing more with guilt? Shame takes a lot longer to really work on, because if you think you're a bad person because of what you did, that goes back to your identity. And we're dealing with an identity crisis. And so that's why I said it, really, really helping him hone in and reminding him of who he is, and him with his own mouth really being able to connect back with the core of who he is, and knows that his actions, while having regret and being disappointed by, some of the things that occurred, really knowing that, that's two different levels of work there. So again, I know last night we mentioned some strategies to help people at least starting to start the process. Sometimes we do it with fine arts. We do it through visual representations of how they're feeling. So just really deal with feelings. And so that can be hard, especially for certain men who might have come up in an environment where sharing your feelings can be dangerous.
Mm, mm, good point.
Mhm.
Walter, did you have anything you want to add on that? I'm sorry. I saw you moving. So if you didn't,
No,
good.
no, no, yeah, no. I was just going to say too that I think it's important for Shalice to also remember that as some of the conversations are being had, and she notices the opportunities to address how that guilt and shame may be being experienced,
Mm.
and being honest with him about it in a loving and tactful way, and that can be, those types of things can be helpful in allowing a spouse to really recognize how it's impacting them,
Mm.
when the spouse isn't necessarily trying to make them feel guilty about it, but really just trying to make them aware. And so, we talked last night about setting the atmosphere. So those type of non-threatening conversations where it's not a look, I need to talk to you about your actions and your behavior, and this is coming from your shame and your guilt. Those types of situations, they will automatically put a person on the defensive. Whereas when you allow him to kind of guide it into, hey, I'm having trouble sleeping at night, or I'm having this particular issue, and just ask the question, do you think it may be tied to so and so, or what do you think it may be? What would you attribute it to? Those are often non-threatening ways to really kind of plant those seeds of the individual addressing the issue, because putting it away isn't going to do any good. And he's not going to ever effectively be able to deal with it. Get past it, I'm sorry, unless he addresses it and deals with it.
Agreed, 100%. I got to give a shout out to our
Yes.
brother Walter and Miss Nina said she is live from Detroit. She is testifying. I received the testimony, sis. We all do. Walter, I told what to do about my husband not wearing his ring. I prayed. We had this talk 4 times already, but I believed and I went to work. He is wearing his ring. I'm sorry. Can we just take a minute to celebrate that success? Yes, that is definitely a praise report. We receive it. Thank you so much, Nina. I can't even imagine what that feels like on your inside parts right now to have that victory. And I appreciate the fact that it was big enough for you to share with us. I think sometimes when we are going through so many things and we're dealing with such hard times, it's difficult to celebrate the little things, right? But the little things are big things because you're making progress and you're moving forward in a healthy direction. Guys, it is the Couples Academy Ask the Expert show. We're going to take a quick break and we will be back in just a moment. Hey, you guys. So we just assumed that you knew who we were. My name is Lakeisha Hines, and I am joined by the wonderful Charmaine Jennings and Mr. Walter Jennings, and we are part of the Avengers, as Hassani likes to call us. We are 3 of the Avengers that are with you tonight, and I just assumed, like, you know who we are. You saw us last night, but anyway, we just wanted to introduce ourselves, and now we want to introduce you. Again, we already had a comment from Shalise. Shout out. Hopefully your son wins that game tonight. Yes. Thank you for joining us, Nina, for that testimony. Dee Dee, Charmaine. Charmaine, you got another Charmaine.
I know.
Tonight.
Valencia. Girl. We kind of related.
Charmaine Power tonight. Valencia, Sean, Ralph, Dr. Princess God, Derek, Deborah, JJ, Cali Power couple in the house. Yes. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for watching. We are so happy to have you. And again, thank you for your commitment to tuning in every single day. If you're watching in the morning or at night or both, we appreciate you guys so much. All right. I think we have a question now from Miss Deborah. Charmaine, you want to take this one?
Sure. Hello, I have a question. About 3 weeks ago, my husband said that he was done. It was done. He's out of town working, and I sent him videos from Couples Academy, and we made a commitment to work on things. And so she says, I am the victim. So letting us know that kind of she was the one that was, I guess, betrayed in the situation.
And she goes on to say,
he being away again is not working for us to work on things. So major trust issues. Okay. And so we have a situation where husband is regularly traveling out of town. So it can make it challenging to work on things, especially when he was the one that violated the trust in the relationship. You want to chime in on this one?
Yeah, I mean, so Deborah, you're not necessarily asking us a question, so I'm not 100% sure, what your question is, but I definitely can understand if you have had trust issues because there's been some type of betrayal. You said you're the victim, so I'm assuming there's been some type of betrayal, and you're saying you already have major trust issues, and him traveling definitely makes that difficult because I don't know where you guys are in your recovery process either. I don't know how fresh this is or how new this is for you all. But if you haven't gotten to a place where you feel comfortable, where you feel safe and you feel secure, and then now he's traveling for work, I understand how this could be devastating. So I don't know what you guys have in place. I don't know what you've talked about. And again, I don't know where you are in your recovery process, but I'm going to assume that you've done some work. So if that is the case and you're still having some issues, then we talk to couples often about affair proof in their marriage. If you go on to the Couples Academy YouTube page, you'll see videos and different things. There's one called Affair Proofing Your Marriage. So I highly recommend you guys watch that video together and try to come up with your own rules and guidelines, boundaries for how you're going to move forward. Some things that we have asked couples to do in the past, or not asked, suggested that they do in the past, or in past situations similar to this, is to get an app on your phone called Marco Polo. And that way, if you're feeling something, you're not sure, you're feeling uncomfortable, hey, Marco me. And show your surroundings 360 around the room. And, he's going to have to do some things to get you in a place where, you do feel comfortable, especially if you're rebuilding trust. But remember, there's always work that you have to do as well. If he's showing up and he's doing everything he needs to do, and you're still just not there yet, you're not ready to move forward, then you may need to seek some individual help for yourself. But again, I don't know where you guys are in the process, but I definitely would say, there are things that you can put in place to give you that confirmation that there's nothing going on. But you guys have to be in agreement. They have to commit to it and then stick to it.
Yeah, Keisha, I completely agree, and I was going to chime in too that we live in a day and age now where virtual and digital platforms, we can use those to our advantages. So even though he may travel from work, I would recommend setting aside some time during the evenings to actually have some visual time conversations. And of course, the Couples Academy offers counseling via those particular platforms as well, the Zooms and the Microsoft Teams and all of that. So, having a conversation, doing some negotiation about setting aside some time when he's on these trips. There are more resources available to us now, to where distance doesn't have to be an obstacle to connecting and rebuilding that trust. And so, I would definitely encourage utilizing some of those tools that are available.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, you guys. Like, I'm feeling love in the feed. I am feeling it. It's love in the air. We're getting close to Valentine's Day. Is that what it is? JJ said, you guys have all been a huge blessing to me. Hey, man, that's awesome. Thank you, JJ, for offering that. And then it's not just love for us. Didi giving God some props. And Callie Power Couple said, we're rejoicing with you and your husband, Nina. That's what I'm talking about. We need to be able to celebrate other people's victories. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Mr. Derek said, is it possible the betrayed becomes obsessed about the affair? If so, what does that look like, and what can I do to help?
Yeah, so I was gonna chime in on this. Absolutely, the betrayed can become obsessed with the affair, and most of the time that happens because there hasn't been complete full disclosure, which is something that we talk about. And sometimes they're gonna want all the details. And when you are the betrayer, there are some things that you may want to withhold and not say, but you owe the betrayer that transparency and that honesty. And then partnering with them through the process. Now, one of the great things that Couples Academy, that Last Chance Weekend does, that I completely agree with, is that once everything is laid out, once you've asked all the questions, once everything that has need to be said has been said, then it's dead, and it doesn't need to be revisited, because it's going to be hard for you to move forward in your relationship and in your marriage if you're continuing to go back and revisit those places and spaces. So, Derek, my suggestion is definitely, if you're the betrayer and you have not given full disclosure, make sure you give full disclosure and provide a platform for laying everything out, so that way it can all be out in the open, and that will hopefully help with some of that obsession piece.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. All right. JJ says, my husband cheated for years, and I just found out about it 2 months ago. I see him changing and we are in therapy, but I still feel like running and leaving. We have good days and bad days. But when will this feeling of I can't do this last? He cheated and is doing the work, but I feel guilty for wanting to leave and break up our family. JJ, this is normal.
Mm-hmm.
And in no way, shape, or form am I minimizing how you're feeling or what you're going through, but I definitely want to normalize it for you and let you know this is normal. Most of the betrayeds feel like running.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because that pain is so great and overwhelming. It can be stifling. It can be debilitating to the point where some days you may feel like you can't breathe. You may feel like you're losing your mind, like you're going through depression. You go through this array of emotions that you have no control over. You have triggers. I call them porno pop-ups. And you get these porno pop-ups, right? You're just minding your own business. You wake up, you're feeling good, you're having a great day. You get in the car, start driving to go to work or wherever you need to go to take care of your things for the day. And then all of a sudden something pops in your head. You get a visual or you get a thought or something about that affair. And you have no control over when they come, how often they come, how long it's going to last. You have no control over that. But what you can control is working on you. And I do understand this just happened 2 months ago. This is fresh. Like
It
you
is.
haven't even had an opportunity to fully even really begin your healing process. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so happy that you guys are in therapy. That's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Um, Therapy is a tool, it's a resource. It is a engine to get you to where you want to go, but the real work is what you guys are doing individually. Therapy is there to lead, guide, direct, again, give you tools, strategies. Sometimes it's there to referee,
Yes.
sometimes there to create that safe space so that everybody can truly be honest with each other about truly how they're feeling and how you got to this point in the first place. So it creates that safe space and safe environment for you both to be transparent with one another and be clear, concise, and direct about, again, how you're feeling, what you're going through, what you need, what you don't need. But at the end of the day, like the work really is between the two of you, what you're individually doing and what you're doing collectively. Will the feeling of I can't do this last? That's up to you.
Mm.
What conversations are you having with yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Because I do know that you're having negative thoughts. I know that. But how do you respond to those thoughts? Do you
Mm-hmm.
feed into that? Do you agree with the negative thoughts? If you have a thought that says, I'm never going to get past this, do you confirm that or do you cast it? Because that's one of the things that you have to get in the practice of doing. You have to make up in your mind that either you want it or you don't. And if you say, I want this marriage, then that means that you're going to have to start casting out those negative thoughts. And you're going to have to start focusing all of your energy, all your attention into what it is that you want. And you can't stay parked in that area of I'll never get over it. It'll never get better. He'll never change. This hurt will never go away. This pain will never go away. Because if you say that, then that's exactly what'll happen. So feeling guilty about wanting to leave, that's because you have a family. When you say family, it's probably children involved. And
Mm-hmm.
so feeling guilty, again, totally normal. But guilt should not be the thing to make you stay.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I
So I'm
know.
gonna I'm gonna be quiet and let you guys chime in if you have anything that you want to add on today. I feel your heart though, JJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Nina, she has a response in the chat, transitioning into talking about children being involved in relationship challenges, and she says we're working on our marriage. Do we involve our son in this recovery? He is 8 years old. He has heard when hubby has been verbally abusive. We have not had a blowout since December the 28th, and so talking about our children, it can be a very touchy subject, but
Mhm.
really, children, I want everybody to think back to when you were a child. How observant, how vivid is your memory
Mhm.
about different traumatic experiences that
Hmm.
you
Mhm.
eyewitnessed or even ear witnessed in your
Mhm.
household? I
Absolutely.
Mhm.
mean, some of us, we could write a book and go quote by quote by quote what we heard, what we saw, what we felt in that moment, every fear. And so I say that if we, even when we're not including our children in the conversation, they're involved
Hmm.
in the conversation. So Nina, if it since this was placed on your heart to really even ask the question, just in one thing with children, they naturally seem to blame themselves for the
Mhm.
issues with their parents.
Mhm.
So I definitely encourage you to put some feelers out there with your son to say, what are some of your happiest times, at home, mom and dad, and just put some general feelings out there and see where your son is, because
Hmm.
sometimes they learn about the communication dynamic from us as well. And so maybe he's ready to talk, maybe he's ready to be included, but he will definitely let you know um, if and when he is. But put the feelers out there. How does he feel about things when things aren't so good? See what he notices. But they're very observant. And I'm sure he could probably give you a mouthful about how he experiences when the energy is positive in the home and when the energy is the opposite.
And we want to acknowledge too that for many of us, that what we're suggesting is a complete deviation from what we experienced growing up.
Culturally,
That
yes.
a child stays in a child's place. There are certain
Mhm.
conversations that you don't
Mm,
include children in. However,
Mhm.
as Charmaine mentioned, what we're seeing and what we are the oftentimes the result of are growing up in these cultures that were wrong. And now, but it's we grew up in dysfunction and
mm,
operated. Now our dysfunction is now functional
mm,
and is a part of
Right.
our norm, but that doesn't make it right. So
Mm.
I can't stress enough how important, Miss Nina, it is for you and your husband to have a conversation with your son about and giving him voice in what he's seeing, in what he's experiencing, and having a conversation with him about that, and especially for your husband, to talk about some of the things that his son is watching him do. Because again, these are things that are being ingrained in him as
Right.
particularly part of the norm. As
Right.
this is what I am supposed to do, and this is how I am supposed to conduct myself as a
Mhm.
man. And if you wanna cut off some of those bad habits, they have to stop now. It
Right.
is easier to train children than it is to repair broken adults.
mhm.
So that is so important that that happens now. And even if your son, with the conversation that you have, exhibit signs that he may need to see a therapist, we recommend doing that.
Absolutely, 100%. And I'm sorry, this is my space where I'm
Right.
super passionate about families and children. And what I will say to you, Nina, is you need to control the narrative.
Hmm.
Because the reality is, if you don't talk, then what's going to happen is your child is going to start putting things together in his mind And we often know when children do that, and even us, right? When we are left to put things together on our own, we often piece together the wrong picture. So
Mhm.
you definitely want to make sure that you control the narrative and that you speak to your son in a way that he can understand, in language that he can understand. He does need to stay in the child's place in the sense that he doesn't need to know the details of
Mhm.
Right.
what transpired between you
Mhm.
and your spouse, but
Mhm.
you guys definitely have to have a conversation with him and let him know something, especially since a lot of the arguments have transpired in his presence.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And
Mhm.
then really asking him questions about how do you feel about the
Mhm.
things that you heard,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and you reframing,
Absolutely.
reshaping, and letting him know this is unacceptable. This is
Mhm.
Absolutely.
not okay. This is not the way that you're supposed to speak to someone that you say that you love, and make sure that he understands that that's inappropriate behavior.
Mhm.
All right, Nina, you say the videos and prayer and ask the experts is helping.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank
Awesome.
you. Continue to do your work though. And if it gets to a point where you plateau and you're no longer moving forward and you hit a stuck space, then we're here. Please reach
Mhm.
out.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Please reach out. All
Right.
right,
Ralph
Ralph.
says, "Oh, you're welcome for the laughs
Oh
last night."
Lord, here come Ralph. Ralph done built the house now. Went on YouTube, learned how to build a house.
Stop it. All right, we hear you. We're here for you, Ralph. He says, "You're welcome for the laughs last night. What is an easy way of showing your spouse that your change is permanent and that your love has only deepened and
Mm,
that you care about them?" Wow.
Yeah, I'll say
wow.
two things, and yeah, shout out Ralph, and definitely
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed you last night. And so the first thing is that the best way to show that your change is permanent is to continue to exhibit consistency in that change behavior. That is so important that it begins to be a part of your new normal, and that they recognize that this isn't a phase. This is an improvement and a shift in their character. The second thing is to, as we talk about things like the five love languages, and just like you mentioned last night, with becoming like hands-on and learning new things, translate that into understanding what your partner's love language is, beginning to do new and different things for them. And that doesn't necessarily just mean buying them gifts, but it means being observant. It means, some of the things that you weren't doing before, beginning to do them and being mindful of those things, noticing little things, that really can show how not only your love has deepened, but your commitment to really growing and understanding how to love your partner better, and showing that you are committed to moving forward in a way that's saying that I wanna grow to love you more and more, and understanding you. And just as mentioned before, that with this book, I'm planning to get a PhD in knowing you.
That's right.
If you continue to do what you've always done, you'll continue to get what you've always gotten. So you got to be willing to show up different and do something different.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Chelsea, she says, in a toxic relationship for 13 years, married since last year because of our 12-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
He had an emotional affair, and I have anger problems too, but I am so tired of trying, but don't want to give up. Where do I start? Chelsea, I have so many questions for you, sis.
Mm-hmm.
You said you've been in a toxic relationship for 13 years. What's going on there? Why is the relationship toxic? Is it on both sides? Is it because there's been infidelity for the entire 13 years? What's been going on for those 13 years? You got married last year, you said because of your 12-year-old son. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You got married because of your son. If that is the case, then now we have a foundational issue,
Mm-hmm.
because the reason why we come together is because of other reasons that are not children. And that's kind of what we were talking about before. Actually, Walter, I think it was you
Mhm.
talking about the previous generation and the way that they thought and the way that they moved and some of the things that they instilled in us. Oh, you get somebody pregnant, you better marry her, you better do
Mm-hmm.
right by
Mm-hmm.
her. But
Right.
that can't be the foundation of
Mm-hmm.
your marriage. That can be the thing that helps propel you forward, but it should have already kind of been in your mind that this is the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with. So again, we have a foundational issue already. And
Mm-hmm.
then you're saying he had an emotional affair. No disrespect, but I'm not surprised because it seems like there may not have been a deep connection, a strong
Mm-hmm.
connection between the two of you prior to getting married. And if anybody was pressured into getting married, that definitely can cause resentment and bitterness and anger. And you're not showing up in love in
Mm-hmm.
that way. And then you're saying you have anger problems too. So maybe that's what you're referring to with the toxicity. Maybe both of you have anger issues. And yes, that can be a toxic relationship. You're tired of trying, but you don't want to give up. Where do you start? First, I think honestly, it's really about identifying your why.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to stay together? Sometimes it's not for the right reasons. It's a good reason, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not the right reason. So I think you got to start with identifying again why you want to stay married, why your spouse wants to stay married. And, if that is for the right reason, now we got to start working on healing from this emotional affair.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a process. There's steps that are involved, and you guys have to go through that full disclosure. You have to go through affair proofing your marriage. Again, there's so many steps involved to this, and it takes time. And then you have a son involved as well. So I don't know how much we've been talking about kids tonight. So I don't know how much he's in the mix of all of this, but you definitely start for me with identifying your why. What is the reason why you want to stay married? And again, are both of you willing to do the work necessary to make the marriage work? And because it's been 13 years of toxicity, in your words, not mine, I highly recommend getting some support. We would love for it to be Couples Academy. We would love to have you. But if it's not us, get in front of someone because, again, there have been foundational issues. There have been things that you guys have been dealing with for a really long time. So you're going to need somebody to come in and help you guys to navigate through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Sean says, I'm asking for prayers. This is extremely difficult for me. I'm not in alignment at all. I completely trusted my husband, and this hit me at a time when we were at our happiest in our marriage. It says dot dot dot.
And I
So
don't see a
a continuation.
continuation of the comment. So I don't know, Sean. Are you just saying that right now you're dealing with it, this is just really hard for you? Was it a betrayal that you guys went through and it's just hitting you really hard and you said you were at your happiest. So if you're saying that, I think what you're saying is this came out of left field because
Right.
you guys were at your happiest time in your marriage and it just caught you completely off guard and you can't identify the why
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
for the infidelity. And so that's definitely a conversation that is needed with your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Only they have the answers for why they did what they did. And you're not going to be in alignment. You got knocked off your feet. This is you
Yes.
riding down the
Mm-hmm.
highway, listening to your favorite jam. You feeling
Mm-hmm.
good. And then you get sideswiped by a Mack truck.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So you will be out of alignment. Your car is, and so is your body
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
because you were completely caught off guard by this. And of course you trusted your husband. He's your husband. So that makes sense to me. So again, we most certainly will pray for you.
Yes.
Absolutely. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And we get that it's difficult, but just know that there is nothing that is impossible for God. Sounds like you're a believer because you're asking for prayer and you really are going to have to lean, trust, depend on him to get you through this. And it sounds like it's relatively new also. The next few weeks, months, it's going to be rough. It's definitely going to be. So you're going to need to rely on something bigger than you
Mm-hmm.
to help hold you up while you go through this transition, please reach out. We're here for you. We definitely will help you. We would love to help you guys um, go through this process and help you navigate this. So many couples we've talked to, they're like, oh my gosh, I wish we would have come here first before trying to handle it on our own, because what they end up doing is still having to go back to day one anyway because it wasn't handled properly. So please reach out. Again, we would love to give you that support and definitely will keep you in our prayers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, hi Lakeisha. Hey, Spark the Grill. You said you've been with your husband for 27 years. You are 41. You have 10 kids together, but I just now learned that he had an affair with a 23-year-old coworker and got her pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, sis, my womb is hurting for you and those 10 babies, those 10 children. I cannot even imagine what that is like. That in and of itself is ridiculously stressful. I have four, and some days I feel like I'm about to lose my whole mind. So the fact that you have 10, oh my gosh, shout out to you for
Mhm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Finding out about an affair with a younger woman, a co-worker, and she's pregnant. That's the trifecta. And again, you go on to say you are lost, you don't know what to do. He wants to work on the marriage. You tried everything, but the triggers won't let me sleep. I just don't know how I'm going to get through this. And I feel like I'm going crazy. Typing with tears in your eyes, torn
Mm,
completely apart. He's all you know.
mm,
So, again, you guys have been together for a really long time. You have built a family together. And again, that analogy that I just gave about riding down the highway, minding your own business, feeling good, and you get sideswiped and hit by a Mack truck. I mean, I'm sure that that's what this has felt like for you. But then now, not only did you get hit by one, then another one came, and then a third one came because again, it's a coworker, they're younger, and there's a pregnancy. So you're trying to figure out what that's going to look like if this is in fact his child. I'm actually working with several couples right now who are dealing with a similar issue where infidelity has resulted from pregnancy. And there's definitely a way to go about handling that that's different from some of the things that some of the other couples are going through because they don't have a pregnancy that they have to worry about. So definitely, again, that is a different process. I can't give you that in a soundbite. I can't walk you through that in this space right here, but I will tell you with the triggers. There's different techniques that you can use, and one of them really is about casting, right? Where are you putting your energy?
Mm-hmm.
So when the thoughts come, you have a choice. You can either sit in that, stew in it, marinate in it, and then it's just going to continue to build and build and build and grow and grow and grow. And the next thing you know, you've been 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, half your day is gone where you're just sitting in that hurt and that pain. At some point in time, when you're going through that recovery process, you do have to allow those feelings and emotions and things to come
Mm-hmm.
up because you have to let it come up so it can come out.
Mm-hmm.
But once you have identified the trigger, you allow those feelings to come up, then you have to release it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't hold on to those triggers because guess they're going to keep coming back. They're going to keep coming up. So you deal with the feelings, deal with the emotions, and then you have to release it. But acknowledge it. Don't try to push it down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definitely have to allow it to come up, but then again, you have to release it. I'm so sorry that you are going through this. And
mhm,
again, with tears in your eyes right now, I'm glad that you tuned in. And we definitely want to, send love your way because we do understand how difficult this is. And again, it sounds like this is relatively new for you. So you're totally where I expect you to be if it's
Mm-hmm.
early on, because again, it's one of those things where your world has just gotten shifted. It's like somebody dropped a bomb in the middle of your living room. So now you're just trying to pick up the pieces, and it's devastating. So your sleep being interrupted, we know that our emotions and feelings and all of those things can have a physiological manifestation. So,
Mhm.
when you're dealing with so much hurt and pain and trauma, it definitely can affect your appetite. It can affect how you sleep.
Sleep.
It can affect how you think. Some people say they have brain fog, they can't function at work, they can't think clearly. Like, it really takes a toll on your body and wreaks havoc on your body. So I don't know if you're a believer or not. If you are, I would say definitely you're gonna have to fall on your knees and you have to pray and ask for some strength from God. If you are
Mhm.
not a believer, then definitely I'm going to say that you're gonna have to get in front of someone. Believer or not, you need support. But
Mhm.
definitely, if you are not a believer and you're trying to do this on your own, you
Mhm.
got to get in front of somebody that can help you through this process, because it's a lot,
Mhm.
and it's a lot to try to navigate by yourself.
Mhm.
And so I hope that you will reach out and get support.
I did want to add something about, when the partner says that they definitely want to work on the marriage, really asking them, you know, really making sure it's not just, oh, I apologize. Will you forgive me? I want to make the marriage work. Well, there's 5 languages of apology, and it's a process. It's a
Mhm.
journey. It's not just I did this. Will you forgive me?
Mhm.
It's expressing that regret. It's accepting responsibility, because let's be honest, now, because there's a pregnancy that came out of this, this is a journey now that we're involving now, the pregnancy, and now there's going to have to be continued communication with the
Mhm.
affair partner. So it's a lot, but then making restitution, how to make it right. I mean, it's going to be a journey. So definitely allow yourself um, to allow us to help and provide that support.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if this is fee or if this is fe, but and I don't know if it's, oh, husband. Okay, so
Mhm.
he says, I've asked the same question in many different ways on this show. My wife and I have attended marriage counseling 2020 to 2021, which seemed to be superficial for me and did not truly address the pain of infidelity that occurred 6 years ago. We've always had marital issues prior to the affair. However, my wife tends to bring up her life changed post the affair. I do not want to live in guilt and shame anymore, as it has affected my job performance due to the lack of concentration and effort. Do you all recommend connecting with a Jeff Witt or life coach to unlock my shame and guilt and start allowing me to live a happier life and relationship? Thank you all. Yes,
Yeah.
please
Yeah.
call Jeff today. This is where Jeff lives.
Mhm.
This is what he loves to do. He loves coaching males, he loves supporting men. I mean, any one of us can support you, any one of us can help you on this journey. But definitely, Jeff has a way of dealing with men that he gives you a kick in the pants. Like, he gives you, like, it's tough love with Jeff, but it's mad love, and he does have a way of helping to get men to focus on those 4 areas, right? Because we are mind, body, soul, spirit, right? So he has a way of working with you to get you in a healthy place in all 4 of those areas, and he does it in a very unique and Jeff way. So I would say definitely reach out and connect with Jeff. And we did kind of talk earlier, I don't know if you just got on, but we did talk a little bit earlier about guilt and shame, and the difference between the two and how you need to navigate that. But definitely, please reach out to Jeff. And you also said you guys have had marital issues prior to the affair. That's
Mhm.
what we hear all the time. I've said multiple times, people don't just wake up one day and say, "Hey, I think I want to cheat on my spouse today."
Hmm.
There's usually issues that were happening prior to the infidelity. So yes, please reach out. Reach out to
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say too. It sounds like there is. I know he said they I had done marriage counseling, but it sounds like there needs to be some individual life coaching
Yes.
there. That can be really important to having a better relationship, and the individuals doing their part to pursue their best selves. So I agree.
All right. One of you want to take this one?
I'll read it. I have given full disclosure. We do counseling with Hassani. We constantly talk about the same questions. The conversation is her saying, I feel this, what happened, or I think that. What do you, when you are completely honest about everything, but she's constantly telling me what she thinks?
Mm.
I think that it's important for us to leave space for our partners to walk through that, again, the grieving process. And you may say what it is, but it's important for the partner to have space to share how they feel about what they're hearing, about how they're experiencing you, and also how they are experiencing the situation. So it's important to leave space for that. Also, too, having some communication with your spouse after those sessions is really important, and being able to hear them and not necessarily dictate to them how they should feel, but really being able to hear their heart and what they're expressing, and not trying to fix it, not trying to fix necessarily how they feel, but being able to give them ear to what they're feeling, and then being able to empathize with it is an important part of that.
Mm-hmm.
It can be you can get stuck though if if the expressions of feelings and thought continue to go back to what should have happened,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it's really important to make sure that we are focusing on, again, once that full disclosure has happened, our goal is to focus on our new relationship that we are rebuilding. It doesn't mean that your partner will forget though.
Mm-hmm.
Those feelings will come up, and but they have to be those. If they do come up, then it definitely just needs to be a time, Derek, where you just have to exhibit that patience, listen, um, definitely acknowledge those feelings. You want to definitely acknowledge the feelings, um, and then definitely just listen, acknowledge, and really try to support your spouse in what they're seeing today and how you're trying to build and the adjustments you're making. But it can be tough, and
Mm-hmm.
again, we're not sure what this is, if this is just kind of some PTSD, or if this is if your partner's stuck. And if your partner's stuck, then
Mm-hmm.
definitely the support needs to be made so that they can start working through the process.
And one of the
Absolutely.
statements that we heard growing up, which was misleading, is that if you tell the truth, everything will be all right.
Hmm.
And, and that's true, but that may not be today.
That's right.
It'll be all right. It
That's
may not
right.
be all right today, though. It may not be all right tomorrow.
Or
You
next
know,
year.
Right.
or next year. Like, it may take a while for it to be all right. But
Right.
the whole idea that the truth and honesty becomes this elixir that, okay, everything is great now because you told the truth. No, what the truth does is it lays the way open for the process to begin, to
Right.
move to reconciling, and
Mhm.
and and
Right.
things and things being all right as you progress to a new normal.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So know that, yes, there may be some. I already talked about this. I was already honest. Why do you keep revisiting it? Because that's part of the process,
Right.
and that's not a excuse to abandon the truth
Mhm.
or to abandon the process. We are to partner with our spouses as they walk through that. Definitely own our part,
Mhm.
but also too, that when we tell the truth, now I can't, because we've been talking a lot about guilt and shame.
Yes.
you know I have to release that I because I've owned it. I've already
Yes.
I've already owned it. I've confessed
Mhm.
it. I've told it. Now I am not this person anymore. And my
Yes.
process is moving further and further away from this
Hmm.
action, and not allowing it to become a part of my character. That
And
is not
not define you.
exactly, not define me,
Mhm.
not become a part of my character as I move forward. Your partner or your spouse may try to hold you. No, I'm not that person anymore. I did
Hmm.
that. Absolutely. I own that, but that is not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
That is not who I am anymore, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
moving further and further away from that.
Absolutely. And I just want to say, Derek, your wife may need an intensive. Your wife may
Mhm.
need some one-on-one time with Danielle, or, with one of the other ladies who are on the team. She may need to do some individual work so that she can move forward, because as Charmaine says, she may be stuck. So it may be a situation where she just needs to, again, take some time for herself so she can get additional support so that she can begin to move forward. I want to go on to Jose's comment. He said it's so difficult to address my daughter as the offender in my marriage. And Walter kind of addressed this, and he didn't even know he was addressing this
Yeah,
situation. Jose, you got to sit your baby girl down
do it.
and you got to tell her, I am not what I did.
That's right.
Just like you are not what you do, little person, because
Mhm.
I know you make mistakes, you've done things, you've lied, and all kids lie. I don't know why parents don't think that kids lie. They lie, y'all. They all lie. So you've done things, you said things, that were wrong or whatever, but that's not who you are, it's what you did. So you
Mhm.
have to be clear with your daughter, let her know you made a mistake. Be honest with your child. Again, you don't have to go into the details of
Right.
everything that you did, but you do want to be honest, and you do, again, you control the narrative. You explain to your daughter that, yes, daddy made a mistake. I feel horrible about what I did, and I am working every day to try to make it up to mommy, or take care of mommy, or whatever it is. I don't know the age of your child, so you have to use the language that's appropriate to
Hmm.
wherever they are developmentally, but definitely don't ignore it. Don't try to talk around it. Don't try to sweep it under the rug, because again, kids will begin to put their own stories together, and you don't want her to do that. So sit down with your daughter and just be honest. Speak from your heart and let her know there's nothing she did wrong. Nothing is her fault. That again, you are not what you did. You made a mistake. And we all do. You live long enough, you're gonna make some mistakes.
And I wanted to chime in as a father too, Jose. I trust me, I empathize with you.
Mm.
That is a hard conversation to have, because as a father, when you have daughters, you want to be seen as the superhero. You want to be
Mhm.
seen as the Superman. You
Mhm.
want to set a good model and example for them, and you're gonna fall short. You're gonna make some mistakes, but where I believe that the value of us as fathers, and where we really help to impart love with our children, is being able in those moments to sit down with them in the midst of our mistakes, in the midst of
Yes.
the challenges that we're walking through, is being honest. And as Keisha mentioned earlier, being able to say, this is what I did, and I messed up, but that's not who I am, and you're going to make mistakes too, even though this is not about your
Absolutely.
mistakes, but this is about me owning what I did, but
Mhm.
also moving forward. And that's an example for them as well, in
Mhm.
teaching them how to own their challenges, in
Yep.
teaching them how to not give up on
Mhm.
themselves
That's right.
when they
Mhm.
disappoint themselves. So in those conversations, it may be disappointing, it may be challenging, because we feel like we're tainting this image of who we are in the eyes of our children. But what we are doing is really instilling and imparting a life lesson in them that is going to be so important as they grow older.
You fall down.
Absolutely.
You fall down
Now,
seven
seven
times.
times,
You
you
get
get
up
up
eight.
eight.
Absolutely. And I'm telling you right now, something else that is, I think, critical in this conversation with your daughter, what you would be doing is teaching her how not to be in a place of judgment.
Hmm.
Yes.
And that's something that we do. I did it. I know people who've done it. We judge our parents. And it's not until you become a parent that you realize, God dog it, this parenting stuff is difficult. It is hard, but it's easy for us before we become parents to judge the things that they did, to judge the decisions that they made, and to judge their viewpoints and how they think. And that time that they were raised in was so different from ours. So what you're doing when you sit with your daughter is you're letting her know that it's not okay to be in judgment. right? You can have an opinion and that's fine. You can be upset with me. That's fine. But the judgment is something that you will help her to deal with as you explain to her that that's not who I am. It's what I did. So it's critically important to have that conversation. Good luck
Yeah.
with that. Just speak from your heart.
Yeah.
Don't make excuses
Mm-mm.
and
Listen,
just
and I
keep it real.
listen, and I'll tell you too, one last thing. When you do that, what that also does is that becomes a moment of accountability in you, and it helps you to not go back to whatever it is that
Mm.
you did. Because you in that moment, you're like, I do not want to have to do this again.
Mm,
So doing that becomes so important. And that's why it's so important to do your due diligence, to
mm-hmm.
confess and make it known. Because when you really do that and you have to sit people down and own that, you really don't want to continue to you don't want to relive that moment again when you're
Right.
really completely honest about something.
Right. Absolutely. All right, Sugar Mama, what is it about women that a majority of us feel like we have to stay or forgive? Men will drop you like they never knew you.
Well, you
Okay.
better tell the truth, sugar mama.
Well, there's some truth to that.
Ooh, there is. Man, I and I don't, I think there's a lot of research out there about the differences in gender and things like that. But I think um, it, and while that may be true statistically, that women may seem to be more forgiving and will stay in their relationships and be a little bit more committed to the process and the journey. I will say that, you know, we know there's a lot of things out there in society that's happening that may be on one or other end of the spectrum. But I will say this: I always try to operate, and I really encourage you to operate as well. You have to look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day. You have to really
Mhm.
own your choices and your
Yes.
decisions. And um, people stay and they go for very different reasons.
Mhm.
And I think it's just important to be present, love how you want to be loved, forgive how you want to be forgiven,
Mm.
and that's the model I really encourage our clients and who we work with. Forgive how you want to be forgiven. And yes, it may not be equality, but the equity, you'll start to find that the equity will be there. It might not,
Mhm.
the forgiveness may not look, feel, and sound the same way that you dished it out, but it's there, and it's gonna come. And I believe you speak those things, you operate, you work in them, and they'll come back to you. So just, we can look at what everybody else is doing. We can look at the history, the past, and what has happened, and really try to reshape the culture and the gender imbalance. But I tell you, love hard, love deep, love how you want to be loved,
Mhm.
unapologetically, and forgive the same way. And your capacity to forgive. One thing I've learned in my marriage over 20 years is your capacity to love is directly tied to your capacity to forgive.
Mhm.
You have a very low threshold to forgive. You may think that you've gotten to that agape, that selfless love, but you got a lot of work to do and a lot of layers to peel back before you can get to that agape love.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, yes, there are, a lot of examples that we can come up with where men have left when the
Mm-hmm.
woman's been unfaithful. But I can tell you, the clients that I serve, I got some ride or die men that I work with. The wife has been unfaithful. The wife may have gotten pregnant by the affair partner, and the husband is still hanging in there.
All right.
So there are men out there that will stick it out. They will hang in there. And it's all about, who are they listening to? That's what Jeff asks all the time. Who are you listening to? Because a lot of the reasons why a lot of women stay is because God didn't tell them to go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So they're being faithful and they're listening to something that's bigger than themselves. All right. Precise Construction. Love the name. I have been unfaithful to my wife, and it's been 3 years since I did this, but it seems like it still has an effect on us. How do we go about dealing with this? I want my marriage to work.
All right, so yeah, I have a couple questions. I'm not sure if you all have had full disclosure, if you all have done couples counseling, if she's been able to really address it the way that she needs to as it relates to the affair. If not, that's something that absolutely needs to happen. Also, too, one of the common things when there's an affair are couples trying to get back to normal or trying to get back to where they were before the affair, and that place no longer exists.
Mm-hmm.
You the goal is to move to be able to move forward. Just as Charmaine mentioned, when it comes to that level and willingness to forgive, now increase your capacity to love.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's not necessarily starting over, but it is starting anew from the standpoint of we're moving forward from here, and we're going to take these scars and we're gonna grow from them. One of the things that Charmaine and I really like to focus on in our premarital counseling is marriage as an institution.
Yeah.
And what that speaks to is that we all have a purpose, right? Individually, we believe that we were all created and we're here for an individual purpose. She has a purpose, I have a purpose. Now we have been brought together, and now you have three different purposes. You have my purpose, which she is here to support, her purpose that I am here to support, and then we have a collective work
Yeah.
that we have been brought together to do. Just like Keisha mentioned before, where God didn't tell you to leave because there is something or some things that you've been brought together to do. So
Mm-hmm.
figuring out and focusing on, look, we have to move past this because there are some things that we've got to accomplish and do. There's purpose that we have to walk in. If we're going to continue on with this marriage, that means that there is something that you and your wife have been brought together to do. So being focused on that is really vital in allowing you to be able to move past it into your new normal.
And it's bigger than us.
Right.
That's right.
It's bigger than us. Marie said, is it possible to forgive and move forward without full disclosure? I was given some details after I found emails describing the affair. Absolutely not, Miss Marie. You can move forward, but you think you're moving forward and you're really not. You're still going to have to circle back around to full disclosure because the healing cannot be complete. The healing cannot be performed until you have full disclosure. And one of the things that we do is we go through full disclosure at Last Chance Weekend. So I'm going to share you guys a little bit of information about that because I'm telling you, Last Chance Weekend will get you the answers that you need, and it will help propel you forward and get you guys in a place where you never thought you could be. All right, all right. I cannot stress to you guys enough the importance of getting to Last Chance Weekend. We've talked about the month of February and how it's the love month, and we really want you guys to get back to the love. We want you to get to a place where you are healing from the hurt and pain of infidelity. Again, we've identified multiple types of infidelity. It's not just a sexual affair, it can be so many other things. If there's been a betrayal in your relationship and you've been trying to figure it out and work it out on your own, we highly recommend that you get to Last Chance Weekend. And if you cannot, we still recommend that you schedule a private marriage intensive for yourself, or call us for individual sessions. We're here to support you. We're here to help you. We want to say thank you for tuning in tonight. Hopefully, you guys took away some good things for you to help you and motivate you and push you forward in your marriages as you continue to navigate through recovery. And again, we just want to thank you for your faithfulness, for watching. We're sending good vibes to Hassani and Danielle in Mexico. And we hope to see you here again tomorrow. All right. Good
Everybody.
night, you guys.
Nice.
Good night. Good night. Good night.